Hello and welcome to the TYT Community Show here on TYT Nation. I am Jeff Waldorf, host of TYT Community and Around the Nation here on the TYT Network. Got a great show for you today, and we've got a brand new panelist joining us today. We have Lucy joining us. Welcome, Lucy, to the show.
I'm so excited.
We're really glad to have you here on TYT Community. And, of course, joining us again is Tom from Flint. Lives pretty close by. Almost creepy how close you live, sir. It's almost creepy. I hope you're not like trying to stalk me from outside my windows.
That's what my NSA minder is for. That's what he's for. Roars, by the way.
Okay. Well, I feel slightly more reassured. So I'm just saying it'd be a little weird to see you outside the window.
Oh, weirder, clown weird, or me just being there? Which would be worse, the clown or me? Not in clown makeup, just the clown or me.
I was gonna say, if it's you in clown makeup, it's over.
Guys,
like we're having none of that. All right.
It's obviously Friday on this show.
Yeah. We're having a fun day today. We do have some social justice stories for you tonight. Also have a couple of we do have a fun porn story at the end, so we'll get to that. But first, we're going to start out with a little bit of, I don't know if it's really breaking news at this point, but it's an update on a story that we've been following for the last couple of months. And it's actually been going on for a couple of years, so we'll get started on that. An update on the trial of Michael Dunn, who was recently convicted of the murder of Jordan Davis. Davis, of course, being a 17-year-old Florida teenager back in 2012. Now, Dunn, of course, claimed shooting Davis in self-defense. However, there was no evidence to back up that claim. So, you know, that's why he was found guilty. Anyway, the case made headlines because the situation started over an argument over loud music that Davis was playing, and ended when Dunn repeatedly shot at the teen's SUV, of course, resulting in the unfortunate death of Jordan Davis. Now, jury had found Dunn guilty of first-degree murder in September. First degree is, of course, involves premeditation. He premeditated the murder. He's like, I'm going to kill this kid for his music because I don't like his thug music, is what he had said, reportedly to his girlfriend. He's been sentenced now to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, Circuit Judge Russell Healy, who gave out the sentence after prosecutors opted to not to seek the death penalty, he said this, quote, Mr. Dunn, your life is effectively over. What is sad is that this case exemplifies that our society seems to have lost its way. I agree. Now, Dunn was also convicted of 3 counts of second-degree murder in his first trial because he continued to fire into the Dodge Durango as the driver had tried to flee. Now, for Dunn's part, at the sentence hearing, he did apologize, sort of. He said, quote, I want the Davis family to know that I truly regret what happened. If I could roll back time and do things differently, I would. I am mortified that I took a life, whether it was justified or not. Now, I have a little bit of a problem with that one because obviously it was not justified, so he's still trying to hold on to that. He pulled a gun on me defense, which is ridiculous, and that makes him a horrible person. But anyway, it's finally over. And I want to ask you guys in the panel, do you think and do you feel that justice has been done? Why or why not? I know I do.
I think it's been done. I personally do. He's clearly doesn't have any empathy for or sympathy for the life that he took. He doesn't care. People like that should not be out on our streets because, I don't know, am I the next victim? Is my best friend the next victim? Is it somebody like a TYT member the next victim? Like, I don't know. If he's saying, oh, it may or may not have been justified, At least fucking bullshit it and be like, yeah, it wasn't justified that I killed that kid. You know what I mean?
Well, if we were on the conservative side, we'd be, angling for like what? The death penalty? We'd be like, give him death, kill him, not hang him. But we're not, so we're civilized.
No, actually, I disagree with that. You know why? Because Jordan Davis was black and playing that thug music, so they would have been like, let him go, he's a hero.
I'm talking about Michael Dunn. I'm talking about the shooter. I'm saying that if we were on the conservative side, but if this was the role reversal and it was like the guy the Young Turks main show had on, he shouldn't have been let go out of prison. Let's get the politician over that. You know what I mean? With that argument, the conservatives would want this guy electrocuted. But because he's shot a quote-unquote thug, that argument is mute. No death penalty, no revenge killing, none of that. Let's look at the facts. Let's look at the facts. Let's not make any judgments. Let's not judge quickly. I love how that dynamic changes when there's race involved and when there's things involved. But to the answer to your long answer to your short question, justice was done, and I'm glad on our rational side there isn't anybody really calling for the death penalty, because that's just revenge, and we become them. We become what we don't want to be.
I do have a question, though, about this story. Because the kid didn't have a gun, so there was no bad guy with a gun. But the good guy with a gun actually killed somebody, so does that make him the bad guy with a gun or the good guy with a gun?
Well, I'm assuming it's not a real question, but obviously he's the bad guy with a gun.
Well,
so
did he not
have been a good guy?
Could he not have made a gun up out of thin air? I mean, if he was justifying the shooting, and he's still justifying the shooting, why didn't he just, like you find some metal plates that have the words of God written on? Oh, gun! Here's metal out of thin air, and now it's in his hand. No, seriously, this wasn't planted. This wasn't a stand your ground. I mean, the arguments for the right wing are ridiculous when it comes to a racial killing that's clearly racially biased, and it gets really old really quick. But there's no racism, right? That's what we're told. There's no racism. Don't have to worry about that anymore.
Well, we do have a black president. Of course, there's no racism. We're post-racial America, and and this kid was playing thug music, so he brought it on himself. No, actually, you bring up a good point when you say that you're glad that they didn't invoke the death penalty. I'm also glad they didn't invoke the death penalty. I think that would have been useless, and I'm generally against the death penalty anyway. So
I'm totally
he's got life in prison. He's without parole. He's in yes, forgive the pun. He's done.
Let me say this.
Oh, you did it. You did it. I wanted to do it. I'm jealous. I wanted to get all jank punny.
Let me say this. A majority of prisoners are African American. They know that this is the guy who killed a kid for just being black. He's going to have to be in segregation for his entire time in prison because the blacks and the Hispanics and people will put a mark on the back of this guy's head. He is done.
Literally. And can I add to that? I'm going to feel, my bleeding heart liberalism is going to feel bad for him. Okay, I'm done.
Well, look,
that was a joke, by the way. You're supposed to laugh.
the justice system has prevailed for once in Florida, finding this guy, because literally there was nothing that they could do to the defense could do to prove this guy's case. There was no gun found at the scene. There was no gun. He imagined it, and the guy shot 10 times. at a car that was at a SUV that was fleeing, open and shut. I'm amazed it took 2 years and 2 trials to get this figured out, but it did, and thankfully it's over with. It is done.
Jeff, can you bring us?
Done.
Jeff, we're not celebrating enough according to Cypher. Can you get us some fireworks or something since you got 105 years, or a little ding 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 noise or something like we won a prize, because we're not celebrating enough.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm celebrating. That's one less sociopath on the streets.
Yeah, I mean, I am too. It's a sad. It's what do we sell? What did we? It's like going into Iraq. What did we win with this verdict? The kid is still dead.
That's true. No. That's a good point. But hopefully it makes people think, that just because they have a gun doesn't mean that they have free reign in Florida to shoot people, despite their pretty friendly self-defense laws, friendly towards people with guns, obviously, and the stand your ground thing. And I know stand your ground wasn't used in this specific case. It wasn't invoked, but nonetheless, one of the jurors, and I was reading an article earlier on this, one of the jurors had actually thought that it had something with the rules, and that's why there was a mistrial in the first trial. So there's some little bit of information on that one. So.
And by the way, it's not like this is Georgia where they have a law where you can carry your gun everywhere and almost practically required, like the NRA utopia of Georgia, where you can do that. So there's a plus there. But again, we're at taxpayers' expense. He's being held up for 105 years. So he's obviously not going to get time off. He's obviously not going to get good. What did we win? I'm still trying to. Nobody can ever answer me that.
There is no winner when you have people with guns everywhere and people that are afraid, especially afraid of minorities. You have no winners. No one wins. And this is a good example of a no-win scenario.
No, I think there is a winner. I think we can see, the system is not completely tipped in white people's favor. That black people and Hispanic people, minorities, can get a little bit of justice.
I gotta, well, yeah, but I also gotta say, anybody who thinks it's completely tipped to white people, no, this is one of the things where I actually push back a lot on people. It's rich. If we need to literally take the money out of it, and I know we've gone too long on this, but I'm sorry, we're making the show longer.
All right, with that, we should move on to the next segment here. Rolling right along. This time we go to Arkansas. It's too bad our Arkansas correspondent isn't here this week. That would be Jordan, if you were unfamiliar. Republican Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas really hates Obamacare. I'm sure you're thinking, okay, well, no shit, obviously. Well, but during a recent debate with Mark Pryor, he really pulled out the stops when it comes to fucking stupid. How? Well, he claimed that people with pre-existing conditions, the people that most insurers wouldn't cover because of the cost, and those insurance companies that do end up, covering those people, do so at pretty damn near unaffordable prices. Well, he claimed that those people were better off back before Obamacare. Seriously? Quote, many people were happy with their coverage under the high-risk pool before it was eliminated. They should have been allowed to keep that choice. Oh, God. According to Think Progress in Arkansas, out-of-pocket costs for patients in such pools could be as high as $20,000, and those with pre-existing conditions had an average 6-month waiting period for care. And that's if they can get covered in the first place. Most likely, even the high-risk pools would still deny you for things like diabetes, hepatitis C, multiple sclerosis, schizophrenia, quadriplegia, Parkinson's, and HIV, AIDS and HIV, and even relatively mild issues like acne. Wait, acne? Acne's on this list? Are you fucking serious? Acne. Okay, well, there goes every teenager. Look, however you feel about the Affordable Care Act, and it's not perfect. We could do much better than it, than what it is right now, but it's a start. It's pretty obvious that people with pre-existing conditions do have it better now than they did before. Which brings me to the conclusion that Tom Cotton is a fucking idiot. Thoughts?
Clearly the answer is wolf-pack.com. Clearly he's saying what his donors want him to say. Instead of being intelligent, checking out the facts for himself, he's just doing what they want him to do. So, wolf-pack.com, like, that's the only way to respond to people who are still upset and still trying to claim, like, oh, people liked it pre-ACA. wolf-pack.com.
I gotta wait are you fucking kidding me? Really? I'm sorry. I'm sorry to bring out the F-bomb, but are you kidding me? This is... ACA is not the best thing in the world, but it's a far cry better than what we had. You want to go back? Okay, let's repeal and replace that. Let's get rid of that, because those days where I couldn't get coverage was so much better. It was peachy keen, man. Let's go there. We had death panels. We knew that. And we had no viable option for states like Vermont, if they want to get a public option. A state can go and do that if they want to. This guy is a moron on the epic. And you're right, wolf-pack.com. But really, dude, you're killing me. I need Obamacare because he's killing me.
And that's sort of the funny thing is that this is one of the most popular provisions of the law, even among Republicans. They say, oh yeah, of course it makes sense. Covering people, you have to cover people with pre-existing conditions. That makes sense. Even the people that are like, oh, repeal, replace. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm gonna keep this this thing because that sounds pretty good. Everybody loves that. I'm gonna keep this thing. I'm gonna keep this thing. And then I'm gonna get rid of this medical device tax, which they hate, obviously, because it's a tax, and anything that's has the word tax in it, they hate. They actually hate literal tax, as in like thumb tax. Get rid of them. Republicans hate those. Anything that has to do with tax, seriously. But no, the irony is that they would keep all these provisions in Obamacare. The only thing that they want to drop is the Obama part, because that's the part that they hate the most. Because they're not getting any credit for the law that they fucking came up with. It's ridiculous.
Jeff, I'll be happy to give Mitt Romney credit for the law that they came up with. We can call it Romneycare. I'll be happy to do that.
Aren't they the ones that... Well, aren't they the ones that wanted to start calling it Obamacare? Like, I always thought it was the Affordable Health Care Act or the Affordable Care Act. Like, I don't ever remember them calling it on the official documents Obamacare. Like, it's, I don't know, I read the law, so...
Well, actually, now they don't want to call it Obamacare. Now they want to call it the Affordable Care Act because now people are actually starting to come around to like it. They actually are starting to like this law.
What?
And they're like, oh, well, we better not call it Obamacare anymore because people like it and they'll tie it to Obama, and now, yeah.
Wait, you're telling me that you're telling me that American citizens enjoy being alive and healthy and knowing that if they need to see a doctor, they can see a doctor?
I know, right? It's amazing.
Well, not only that, it proves we enjoy logic and reason. I mean, that right there. And two, it just shows that if you do how the scare tactic is broken. If you say, do you like Obamacare? No, I don't like that. And do you like the Affordable Care Act? Yeah, I like that. And that scare tactic race. black president, Obama. Now, there
You know,
you go.
of this, a good example of that is Connect, Kentucky's healthcare exchange, right? People in Kentucky love Connect. And I've done stories on this where, you know, for example, there was a woman got, you know, healthcare, Medicaid through Connect. And she's like, oh, I love it. It's great. So what do you think about Obama? Oh, I hate him. Horrible. He's dividing the country. I hate it. Everything he does, hate him. Gonna vote against Grimes, which isn't great anyway, and I'm gonna vote for Mitch McConnell, even though he promises to pull out the law root and branch. This is the kind of disconnect that we have. Loves Connect, hates Obamacare, doesn't understand it's the same fucking thing. And actually, to be honest, there is no actual like thing called Obamacare. It's like this like there's no Obamacare plan. It's a framework in which the states set up their own exchanges, and if the state doesn't want to do it and exercise their state's rights to set up their own exchange, then the federal government has to come in and do it too. So wouldn't it make sense for these conservative states to set up their own exchange instead of bitching about how the federal government is overreaching? You have the option of setting up your own fucking exchange, and you don't do it. It's ridiculous. Yeah, so there's
on that point that you were making about setting up the exchanges, what happens, and nobody's been able to answer this question, what happens if a Republican governor wins, right, in a Democratic state where there is an exchange, and they decide to rip it to shreds? What happens to those people? How nobody's done that yet, but that kind of thing I can see a Republican threatening to do, because
they could threaten it all day, but they would need the both houses of the state legislature to actually get something like that through.
Fair enough.
And in a Democratic state like New Jersey, for example, they wouldn't be able to do it. Like,
yeah,
it has a lot of Democrats, even though it's run by Krispy Kreme.
Oh, and I used to like Krispy Kreme. No more.
No more. I don't know. Their donuts are still pretty good. Anyway, moving on. All right. So here's something relatively that makes a lot of sense. Now, how much do family planning programs save the taxpayer? You know, things like birth control and comprehensive sex education. According to analysis by the Guttmacher Institute, these programs do save billions of dollars by avoiding unintended pregnancies. For example, in 2010, publicly funded family planning clinics prevented 2.2 million unplanned pregnancies. Damn, that's a lot. Resulting in, of course, far less Medicaid spending, as well as less maternity and infant care. So, because of that, and because of savings to those programs, the government ended up saving about a total of $13.6 billion, or roughly $7 for every dollar spent. Now, that's amazing, and I mean, it shouldn't be surprising because kids are incredibly expensive. So if you prevent people from having kids that they can't take care of, that's a boon to the taxpayers. So it always makes me wonder why the conservative position is, if they really were intent on saving the taxpayer money, which of course they're not, they would be all for birth control. They would be all for access to safe legal abortion. But of course they're not. So, I want to get your thoughts on this.
Woohoo! I can control my vagina once again. This is an exciting day, guys. Exciting day. It feels crazy sometimes being a woman in this country when we don't have fights over guys' reproductive. You know what I mean? We're not like, every man should get a vasectomy until he's married, and then he can get a reverse and have, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean,
our society like pushes men to like go make babies, but women, like, You can only have a baby if you're married in a Christian household and you stay at home and cook. You know, like, so it's really nice that it's like the evidence is coming out that, hey, when women can take control of their bodies and their reproductive rights, we can go be just as productive out in the real world as anybody else. And we can save you, the taxpayers, money by not having babies when we're not ready to have babies, and then needing welfare and other programs to help raise our babies.
Lucy, you made all the brilliant points for me, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut and only say something Sean would say, and thank God no wire hangers were harmed during this. And I'm done.
Yeah, once again, it brings me to why, to what's wrong with our social conservatives in the country that are like, no, abstinence only. You will not learn about sex whatsoever. And you will not have birth control. Why should I pay for you to have sex? So we don't have to pay for your fucking kids later on because you know nothing about sex and know nothing about pregnancy, and then get yourself pregnant because, let's face it, we're humans. Humans want to fuck. It's a natural thing. And you literally can't stop two people from having sex. You can't do it. And so what they're doing is that they're making people that can't make their own choices, that can't make good choices, because studies have shown that the more you educate someone, teenagers, about sex and show them their options, the less they go out and have sex, for one, because they understand the repercussions of it, and two, if they do, they actually are more apt to go out and protect themselves, use condoms, use birth control, and actually make smart decisions when it comes to family planning. But this comes down to social conservatives. Basically, have you ever heard of the Quiverful movement? It's sort of like that.
God, yes, I have.
Social conservatives, there's an extreme sect of social conservatives, like the Duggars, that basically see children as ammunition in the cultural war, and they use children to try and take over America by having so many kids that they outdo us in population. They outnumber us, so then they can take over. It's crazy, it's creepy, and there's a lot of social conservatives that believe that. And it goes also to the religious right angle of this whole thing, is that they're like, well, yeah, abortion is wrong. Abortion is wrong. Okay, fine. Abortion, you may not agree with it. Nobody likes, I tend to think that everybody is pro-life. We don't like the idea of abortion, but you know what? It's there. It's not our decision to make. It is their right to do so. And if you really want to prevent abortion, you will actually be in favor of sex education and fucking birth control.
Well, what always blows my mind is, look at back in, I don't know, when 2012, when Sarah Palin was like all about, oh, abortion only, Alaska's abortion only. I mean, not abortion only. Wow. Abstinence only. Was absolutely.
I'm sorry.
That was funny though. Is an abstinence only kind of state, and her daughter got pregnant, and she couldn't put two and two together. Like, no teaching about condoms, babies coming out of vagina.
Wait, it's not the stork? What the fuck? I thought it was the stork.
You don't have to. You can teach it along. You know what I mean? You can be like, oh, hey, the 100% safest way to prevent pregnancy, not have sex. But if you are feeling a little frisky, use a condom.
Like, if you are an actual human being with needs and desires, as we all are, then if you're going to engage in this risky behavior, you should at least protect yourself and be able to.
Why don't we get not low jack, but what's the other thing? The cars have the lock thing on put one on the vagina. You know what I'm talking about for vehicles where
really if they could find some way to mandate that. I think some conservatives would be like, I'm going to low jack that shit.
I'm low jack your vagina, Lucy. Your vagina is low jack.
No, one thing I have to say is I'm really lucky as a woman to live here in the United States and not in like Nigeria or some of those countries where they practice female circumcision because they believe I might enjoy sex and it could potentially kill any boy babies. Like, like at least we have that little bit of, hey, penis inside vagina makes a baby. Like that little bit of education. Like we're that much farther ahead of like some countries. So
I don't like calling it female circumcision. It's mutilation. It's mutilation because that's literally what they're doing. Circumcision is not a kind enough term for that. You know,
well,
you need to really like
mutilation.
it's too kind of a term for that. It's mutilation, and it's
just
wrong.
Like Jeff,
it's fucked up.
Jeff, as I do, the Dunn story. I think you'll agree with me on this. With the Dunn story, that we should be calling any person shot by a gun a late-term abortion, because the right wing doesn't like late-term abortions. That's what that is. It's a late-term abortion. Just put a name to it. I mean, that's my term, by the way.
There you go, and we should start calling guns abortion tools.
Yeah, I like that.
There you go. All right. So here we go. We're gonna head on to the Supreme Court in another abortion-related story. It's a social justice show. What do you want? Social justice. You're going to get it. Supreme Court last week stepped in to protect women's rights in Texas by issuing an injunction to block certain abortion restrictions Texas legislators recently passed. Now, this law would require clinics bring their building codes in line with ambulatory surgical centers, and also requires that doctors who perform abortions get admitting privileges from local hospitals. Now, of course, that can prove difficult, as hospitals could be run by religious organizations that would be morally opposed to abortion and can refuse to grant those privileges. And they can, they don't even have to be religious themed hospitals. They could just refuse those admitting privileges anyway. And, of course, mandating these new building codes, I think, personally, is a way to sidestep Roe v. Wade. Just to make it like, oh, you need a hallway like this wide. And if it's not wide enough, you either have to spend enough money to renovate or you have to shut down when you don't meet those building guidelines. Now, this is temporary, I have to mention. So most likely Texas will eventually shut down most of the clinics, save for about 8. Which is difficult for people who are poor because Texas is a rather large state, and it makes it difficult for people without means to be able to go and get what's supposed to be a legally protected abortion. It just adds another extra burden to this, and that's problematic. Now, what do you think about this, Lucy? Lucy, you're having some audio issues.
Okay, can you hear me?
You're all good.
Yep,
yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, we're going to trust the state that let 2 people get infected with Ebola to control our vagina abortions? No. No. The hospital let 2 women get infected, 2 healthcare workers get infected, and now we're trying to put restriction on abortion clinics? Pretty sure I'd be safer in a van in the back of Texas than going to a state church hospital run stupid abortion clinic. But besides this, I am excited to see that the mainly Roman Catholic male dominated Supreme Court is finally starting to understand they are not women. They don't understand. Sometimes women need to have abortions. It's one of the hardest decisions in life. It is. It's really hard, For whatever reason, a woman decides she can't take care of a child right now. And she chooses to have an abortion, and then to be told and chastised and made to feel less than human. Like, why is that always our go-to thing? To make women feel less than human when they're trying to take control of their life to better everything else. And to brand.
Because they're easier to control. If you control a woman's reproductive rights, you control a woman, and that's what it's about. It's about maintaining dominant stature in society. You are subservient to me, because I control the means of your reproduction. Because if you don't do what I say, you will be outcast, or you will be pregnant and forced to rely on me as a man. That's the whole mentality of this. It's very archaic and it's very destructive. We've had this conversation before with Haven, who said that the best way to raise up a society is to raise everyone up. And in a society that does not have women on an equal footing is a society that is doomed to fail, and that will fail and will remain backwards. But progressed societies, ones that are successful, are ones that have raised women up to a more equal footing.
Can I just say, the best way to control me would be to buy me diamonds every day. Brand new Maseratis, brand new Lamborghinis, brand new Ferraris, every day. Every color, every shade. That's the only way you're going to control this girl. Brand new everything. Other than that, what?
I'm thinking a dungeon and some chains would work. The Maseratis. What are you talking about? A little whip, a little dungeon. Come on. Maserati, diamond. Who do you think you are, Paris Hilton? I mean, come on.
No, I'm an American woman who was taught good values and never let a man push her around.
Fair enough. I can duck.
You can duck with the best of them, huh?
Yes, I can. Dodgeball. I was the king.
There you go. Dodgeball, Michigan style. You show them how it's done. All right. Does anybody have anything else to add on this one? It's fairly straightforward. All right.
I do. Jeff, I do. Again, another story where no wire hangers were harmed. I just wanted to point that out. No wire hangers were harmed.
That's an important distinction to make. All right. Moving on to Rush Limbaugh, actually. A little bit of fun here. Following Shepard Smith's plea to have people calm down over Ebola, Rush Limbaugh decided to attack Shep on his radio show. Why don't we take a listen to that?
Shep Smith was crying so much during his reporting from New Orleans at Hurricane Katrina, his mascara was running. But we need to dial it all back here. Radio, TV, and print. Loud voices seeking ratings, of course.
Obviously it was just Rush Limbaugh taking a few digs at Shep Smith over his Katrina reporting back in the day, which, I don't know, if you weren't upset by what was going on with Katrina, which apparently Rush Limbaugh wasn't, it means you're a fucking horrible person. So you're probably wondering why, of all times, and this was recorded just not too long ago, probably a couple of days ago, on his show. He brings this whole thing up. So why would Rush Limbaugh choose this moment to attack Shep Smith now? Well, it's because of the Ebola coverage, because of Smith's message. Now, he told everyone that certain people will use the threat of Ebola to show how certain politicians are not able to lead. It's political. And some of those certain people that are using this threat, a good example of that is Rush Limbaugh, who on his show has been saying how Obama is a terrible leader, that he's trying to get people to have Ebola as payback for slavery. Well, how about we just let Rush Limbaugh explain this one?
And I'm telling you, there are oddballs. There are people in this country, do not doubt me on this, folks, There are people in this country who believe what this guy said, that this is ultimately traced back to us because of our slavery, and these poor people had to leave this country because it was so horrible here because of slavery, and they established Liberia. Sierra Leone, by the way, was established by British African Americans who fled slavery there. And if it hadn't been for that, they probably wouldn't have. So there's some people who think we kind of deserve a little bit of this. Make no mistake, that is leftist political correct thinking. It's always been around. The danger we have now is that we've elected people in positions of power and authority who think this or think like this in terms of this country being responsible, this country being to blame for things. And it's that kind of thinking which leads to opposition to shutting down airports from these various countries. It leads to opposition to keeping these people out of the country. How dare we? We can't turn our backs on them. They exist because of us. We can't turn them away. Well, that means that anything that happens to anybody here because of that policy, we kind of deserve. And it's a perverted, convoluted way of thinking, and it's there. Political correctness has been around for a long time, and it's always been over there. It's always been fringe. But it isn't fringe anymore because we've elected people that think this way.
See? Obama got elected. Slavery and Ebola. Now, this goes contrary to Shep's message that he had delivered on Fox News saying, you guys need to calm down. You know, we're not at risk here. If that changes, we'll let you know. You know, there will be people who are trying to play this up for their own political advantage. Don't listen to them. And, of course, that pisses Rush off because that's exactly what Rush Limbaugh is doing. Exactly. And so he's mad. He attacked Shep Smith for calling him out in his bullshit Ebola theories, not by name, but you have to know that after this attack, it was definitely inferred. What do you guys think?
I volunteer. I volunteered to take this first, so I'm going to go at it. As the resident happy homo over here, I'm going to say that this was a vile attack against Shepard Smith for being in the closet and gay. He's in the closet. He's well-known gay, but he's in the closet over at Fox News. And him and the mascara running thing. Oh, look at that little gay guy. He's crying about the Katrina, you know, because it would be as if he took a shot at a woman, right? Oh, look at Hillary. She's crying. Pat her on the head. They're just so emotional. Same thing. Because it's ridiculous. It's vintage Rush being an asshat. An uber asshat, and he really needs to go back on the meds because he sounded a lot more saner, and his crackpot ideas were not so crackpot, and that's saying a lot. Vintage Rush sounded sane, and man, when I wish a wire hanger was involved, it was this time. With Rush, by the way.
Lucy?
Okay, can I just say, Rush Limbaugh is an idiot because back when Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, his plan was to send all the freed slaves down to Panama. He did not want to keep any slaves here. Okay, so it's really the same thing. We send either the slaves to Panama or we send them back to Africa. It's the same thing, Rush. Same thing. And how can you not be upset by what happened? Like, if you love Bush so much, you should be upset that he didn't respond properly to Katrina. You know what I mean? But
you know what's funny? There was a poll or some sort of survey taken where Republicans ended up blaming Obama for Katrina, for the Katrina response.
not even the same state, guys.
No. Clear.
Obama was in office.
No, clearly it was Obama's fault because it was part of the mastermind plan to get the Muslim Kenyan elected.
Wait.
See, what they did, no, hear me out. What he did with his mom in the womb was have this plan hatched because he was sending her telepathic signals on how to forge a birth certificate while in the womb and how to make sure that Katrina came along. Am I getting there? Oh wait, let me do another line of Oxy, then I'll get there.
The entire Bush presidency was a false flag set up by Obama to get Obama elected.
Get him elected!
It was so terrible for that reason. I nailed it.
You guys don't even understand how deep this conspiracy goes, okay? Obama is the reason the dinosaurs went extinct. Obama is the reason that, I don't even know, what's another, Hitler rose to power. Obama, like, if it's bad, Obama's the reason why Girl Scout cookies aren't sold all year long.
Obama's the reason girls queef and lie about it.
Hashtag thanks Obama. Crazy.
I'm sorry, I had to. It's Friday, and Sunday's my birthday, so I'm taking it all out today.
And by the way, like, Girl Scout cookies sound really good now.
You're just hungry.
Let me say this really fast. By all these Republicans always blaming everything on Obama, they're kind of putting him up into like a God-type position, you know what I mean? Yeah. And if they can, like, pray to God and say, oh, dear God, don't do something bad. Like, they're just, like, strumming their, like, twisty mustaches. I don't know.
What was it?
I don't think they're strumming the mustache. I think they're stroking the mustache. Is what they're doing.
Oh God! You guys just made me visualize Mitch McConnell with a mustache. Ew!
I just don't get why Rush Limbaugh, like, he doesn't have the viewers. He says all this crazy stuff. Alex Jones is more entertaining. Fox News is hilarious 90% of the time. Shep Smith was at least honest with people. What is Rush Limbaugh bringing to the table except creating a bigger divide in the Republican right? He's just bringing a divide in the Republican right, making it easier for the Democrats to win. So thank you, Rush Limbaugh. Keep dividing your party up. I will win, and I will run this country.
I have to show
Rush
up to
Limbaugh is a false flag.
He's Obama's false flag. Oh, that sounds dirty.
Thanks, Obama.
I'm still vying for the whole queefing and denying thing because that's the worst one. Especially when they like do the whole pillow or the blanket over you.
The Dutch oven.
Jesus. Jesus, Tom.
I think we should ban Rush Limbaugh. We should put him on the ban list.
Yeah, like, we might have to. I mean, like,
there's a reason I killed it today.
There's a reason that, Ann Coulter and, Trump, like, but at the same time, like, okay, Ann Coulter says things to be, stupid, right? Like, she says things to be literally, like, troll. She's essentially a troll. Donald Trump says things also to troll, but he's also an idiot. So that's why he's banned. He just says bullshit because it gets him attention. As far as Rush Limbaugh, I don't know. I mean, he might actually buy what he's selling.
But how about this as a happy medium?
He huffs his own scent. You know what I mean?
But how about this as a happy medium? We ban Rush Limbaugh, and we only bring him back if he figures out the secrets to the galaxy. Like, he writes a paper and he gets it peer-reviewed and published, and he wins a Nobel Peace Prize, then we bring him back.
Wait, no, that's not fair. That's not fair. He's already been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Didn't he, like 2 years ago, wasn't he bragging about how he was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize? So we're halfway to that step. You can't say that. We're halfway there.
No, he wasn't actually nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. He was nominated for the Nobel Peas Prize.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, it has to do with, like, peas or something?
Well,
He is a grown boy.
Yeah. So I had to make that distinction. The
What?
Nobel Peace Prize.
Okay, all right. I still say we're halfway there.
Halfway there to crazy. All right. Last story. What a quick near hour. We go from Rush Limbaugh to porn. How's that? A new study published in the Journal of Sexual Behavior has found that Christian conservatives love porn. And you know, why shouldn't they? Now, the study was done by researchers from Canadian universities. You know how we can trust those Canadians, right? And they found out that those people in America who identify as more religious and conservative are also more likely to look at porn than their liberal counterparts. So more conservatives look at porn more often than liberals. Interesting. You would think that, since they call us the sexual deviants, right? But apparently, since we're probably getting laid more and they're getting laid less, speculation, of course. Now, the study goes down deeper into the differences inside of those two classifications of conservatism by dissecting what they look for, what they search for, their search terms. Most likely to look up the terms gay sex, free porn, and XXX. Makes sense. They don't want to pay for it, right? And a lot of them are in the closet. Once again, speculation. Religious conservatives were a little bit more general, basically looking up even looking up scientific terms for bodily parts. So they had more generic searches, and I didn't have any examples of that. So now this, the religious conservative part could be explained by not having adequate education, leading. So they do what they do, or they do what they can by firing up the old Google machine and typing in penis or vagina. Now, there's also another interesting report about amateur porn that was done in a different study. Now, they looked at amateur demographics and found that just under a third of all homemade were submitted from the Bible Belt. Just under a third. According to Homegrown Video founder Farrell Timlake, we get so many interracial tapes from states that people would stereotype as being racially bigoted areas, and that plays into the same thing. The more repressed it is, the more taboo it is. The more somebody is going to want to see it and touch that fire. Touch that fire indeed. So what do you guys think? What do you find most interesting about these studies? Lucy?
Well, first off, I refuse to recognize Canada as a country. I think it's just North United States, or it's not real. I don't know if it's up there. No, but I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised. When you're that sexually repressed, you're not able to, like, ask for what you want in bed. Like, I have no problem telling a dude to be like, hey, get down there, it's chow time. You know what I mean? But I was brought up with an education, sexual education, that says, like, hey, this is safe sex, this is, how you do it. I mean, this kind of ties into the first story, or one of the stories. Like, I have no problem saying this is what I like, this is what we're going to do. So I don't really feel the need to look at porn as much.
Yeah, it comes down to knowledge. I mean, the more people know about how everything works, the more comfortable they are with their body. And it goes to this conservative shame mentality that they have, the Bible Belt. Sex is dirty. You shouldn't, you shouldn't tell people what you want because it's dirty. You should wait till marriage, and of course they slut shame women who are sexually curious in those areas. So people got to kind of do their own research on the down low if they're curious. And of course this kind of ties into to why these conservative Bible Belt, religious conservative states also have some of the highest rates of teen pregnancy, because they're doing amateur research, and they're not going to find a lot of actual information in porn, because porn is fantasy. It's not real. Nobody wears a condom in porn. unless you're from California, which a lot of the porn companies are leaving California because of that law. And so they're going to see these unrealistic things portrayed, and they're going to follow these unrealistic things because they don't know any better.
Jeff, I just want to point something out that you guys have missed, and I'm kind of insulted that you missed it in this entire story. The whole Google search thing, you know, these right-wing fundies, when they search, they just leave the screen blank and click the I'm feeling lucky button and hope that porn pops up. That's what they do. They don't type anything. They just, oh, I'm feeling lucky. Yes, I would like that. Let me click. And they hope for the best. So I'm a little, you guys are way smarter than me, and you should have come up with that before me. So, come on.
I don't know.
I feel like porn, like when you search for porn, there should be an I'm feeling lucky and an I'm getting lucky button. Like, that would immediately take you to all the porn on the internet.
And I didn't get lucky, and that's why you need said porn.
Oh, even better.
It just makes me sad because, like, I enjoy my body. I find sex very enjoyable. I like it. It feels good. I enjoy it. So it makes me really sad to think, like, there's people in this country who have been so sexually repressed that they expect, like, porn quality sex when they're having sex with another normal person. You know what I mean? It makes me think of the movie Don John. Mm-hmm. Has anybody seen it? No. Okay, well,
no.
There's a scene in it. It's about a guy with a porn addiction. He's talking to this woman in his class, and she's like, I saw you watching people have sex on your phone. And she gives him a porno from the 70s, and she's like, this is way hotter. And she's like, it's better than the trash that you're watching on your phone, but you'll like this more because there's actual, like, it's more realistic. So.
Right, and that brings me back to the point of you know, porn is essentially fantasy, and a lot of people who are looking it up in the first time, who haven't had sex or are sexually curious, they don't know that. And education, I mean, that's education that they're lacking. And also, there's the safe parts of it where porn leaves that out. Porn leaves out safe sex tips. And of course, some of the porn can be degrading towards women. And so some women will expect that that's, you know, that they're supposed to get a cream pie in the face or whatever, right? And that's not actually the way that it necessarily. Now, if that's your thing, that's cool, right? Like, I'm not judging here, but, you know, most might see that those sorts of pornographic films that do have more of a misogynistic angle, those women might see that as, like, normal and expected, and maybe that will deter them or shame them or make them feel uncomfortable to engage in those acts in the first place. And so, you know, that will, I mean, it has an impact. Not educating them properly has a huge impact on more than just one thing. It's a wide range.
I want. This is just totally off the wall and it's kind of on topic, but not really. It's Friday. I'm swinging a bat here, and see what I can break.
At least that's the only thing you're swinging.
I was thinking, what if we went down to the South, or even somewhere where it's sexually repressed, right? Where the study was done, and somebody who had never seen porn before, and you know, like how they do those kids videos for YouTube, and showed them a Japanese blurred out porn and get the reaction. I would just...
Yeah, but the problem is you're mostly going to find something involving tentacles.
Tentacles? What is it, sushi?
No. Oh, God. Japanese porn is... No. Just abandon that idea before tentacle porn.
You know what? How about... Wait, guys. Before we start with the heavy Japanese tentacle porn, why don't we start off with something light and easy, like Two Girls, One Cup?
Oh, oh.
That's light and easy. Oh my God! I'm just trying to figure out what these search terms are for how they do this, because the only thing I can imagine is I'm feeling lucky ... or help me, dear God, or blue balls. That could be a term. Blue balls, or mommy, they hurt, and then I'm feeling lucky. And those are the types of terms I can see the fundamentalists typing in.
This is
Friday, isn't it?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I should know better. Tom plus porn story, you're gonna get some weird shit.
Yay!
I'm just.
Yeah, you've been warned.
You're gonna get some weird shit.
But, I mean, hopefully on the plus side with this coming out, and I feel like America is slowly losing its, like, prude feelings and stuff towards the human body.
It's puritanical mindset when it comes to sex.
Yeah, and I feel like we're slowly losing that, like very slowly losing that. So maybe in another 100, 200 years, if humans are still here, maybe then it'll be more discussed, safe sex in the South.
Europe has lost a lot of that prudishness that we have over here. And, we could go into the history of why it is the way it is with the Puritans and all that stuff, but I'm not going to get into that. Like, that's like that's essentially like a dissertation, essentially. You could get into an hour discussion just full of why the history of America is when it comes to sex. I'm not going to get into that. Yeah. But
Jeff,
you're right.
we
will eventually, as more people are educated, we will eventually kind of break out of that and realize that teaching, kids about sex, especially when more studies coming out that continue to reaffirm the fact that education is the number one way of, sex education and access to affordable birth control is not only cheaper for the taxpayers, as we've mentioned before, but it also reduces abortion. And that's the biggest thing that the pro-life crowd needs to see. Like, if you are truly pro-life, then you have to prevent pregnancies from taking place until it is their time, until they want to have children. Because if you do that, you're going to prevent abortions, and you're going to save money, and people are going to live better lives. They're going to make more money. They're going to be more successful out of life. You're going to reduce the occurrence and need of welfare programs, food stamps, WIC, Medicaid, etc., etc. It causes it will help so many of our current social ills to get people educated and to get people access to contraception and to start them off knowing all these things so they can make better decisions for the rest of their lives.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It all starts in the classroom, guys.
Education.
Wait, that could be a porn though. With the classroom and the teacher and
oh jeez.
I had to bring it back down. I'm sorry. Sean is not here to do that, so I'm taking his mantle today. And watching Jeff blush is just priceless. It's perfect.
Education. Education. Hashtag blame Sean. That's all I have to say.
I like it. I'm good with it. But woohoo! Women are winning the rights of their vagina.
Good. That's a great thing.
And the stork is losing the battle.
Rights for all vaginas. I'm pro vaginal rights. Yeah. All right. Anyway, that's all I got for you tonight. Here on.
Want to do a couple of questions?
Do you want to do a couple of questions? If not, I'm gonna go eat. So if you do have a couple of questions, there might have been one from yesterday we didn't get to, but I think that's more of like a technical, show, like, technical question.
Well, what was it? We can decide.
I believe it was what kind of recording software and setup I have to do this show. Okay, so the main thing I use is obviously Google Hangouts. That's why you see the little Google Plus icon in the corner, like watermark that I can't fucking get rid of. Well, also it's across from the whole TYT Network thing, which is kind of awesome since we're part of the TYT Network. Hey, you know. Aside from Google Plus, I use a paid version of XSplit, which is like a game recording software as well. That's how I'm able to play my clips. And I use that. That cost me, by the way, $60 a year. So if you want to help me continue to hold on to that, Patreon. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying. I want to keep the functionality.
Yeah, give Jeff some money, man. Just give Jeff some money. He needs it. Help him out if you can.
I'm hurting, dog.
I do think somebody. Sorry. Okay. I said I do think somebody asked me what's up with the headgear. Yeah. Muslim girl.
That was Iron Nation that asked you about the headgear. I think maybe Xander also asked you about the headgear.
Yeah.
Iron, I believe, said, how can you believe in women's freedom while wearing headgear like that?
Because I choose to put this on. If I was forced to put this on, I would do this show naked. Because I just don't. But no, I wear this because I want to wear this. So, Muslim girl, I'm looking cute as hell.
I actually, Jeff, I have a quick question for our Muslim girl. For this will get more audience views, I hope. This question. Do you feel slightly offended that like nuns and other religious orders that are female don't get nearly as much grief about headgear and stuff than Muslim women do?
You know, like, sometimes it makes me sad to see, like, nuns aren't chastised for wearing their habits and stuff, or Orthodox Jewish women aren't chastised for wearing their headgear. So when I'm chastised, I'm like, well, do you go around and yell at nuns for wearing it? But I don't care.
Fair, nuns don't wear terror hats because obviously it's a terror hat.
You know what? People tell me who went to Catholic school that nuns are pretty scary, that they beat the crap out of you at Catholic school. So
they'll like slap your knuckles with rulers and shit. That's cool.
I won't do that. I promise you, I won't slap you with rulers.
But what if the bedroom is involved? Will you then?
Possibly.
See? There we go.
I got one. I want to know if Lucy's going to have Fun Buddy Naughty Tickle Time this weekend. I may. It is my neighbor. He is Iraqi. And I'm trying to bring peace to the Middle East by using my vagina. So, calm your tits, guys. Calm your tits.
A worthy endeavor. Ronald Reagan's titties, by the way.
I knew that was coming. Thank you for not letting me down, Jeff.
Never. Speaking of not letting people down, I just have to do this. You know who that's for.
Oh, yes, I know who that's for. I do. That's like the best shout out to my radio show that you can give, man. That is like the best some say shout out you can give. You don't even need to say the name anymore. Just do that. It's like our calling card.
Iron, I'm not calling nuns repressed. I'm not calling anybody repressed. I'm saying that the culture in the South is more repressive. There's a lot more religious right, evangelicalism in these areas where the porn is higher from the previous story. So I'm not calling them repressed. You know what I mean? It's just
it's sort of that angle from what I see is like, they're calling you repressed for wearing the headgear, and you're saying, well, if I'm repressed, then what about the nuns? Are they?
Yeah, well,
they're repressed too.
That was the point I was making. Yeah, exactly. You made Jeff again. Applause to you for doing the point better than I was trying to get across.
+2 = 4 point. Like it. Yeah. Like if you think that, then why? You think that. What makes your headgear different?
Let me just say this.
terror headgear. It's terror hats. That's
Okay. Let me say this. I'm a feminist, so I believe that if you want to wear something, have at it. You want to walk around butt naked? Have at it. You want to wear a burqa? I'm not gonna stop you. Like, I'm not scared.
Hey, burqas take a lot of imagination for men. I think that's why they do them. I think burqas are sexist. That's my take on burqas. I think they're really, really sexist because you got to start undressing from the eyes down. That's a lot of fucking work.
See, like, I just don't care. Like, if you do you, boo, I'll do me, and we can live happily.
Yeah, like I'm with you on this one. I don't give a fuck. Like wear what you want. I don't care. You want to wear an ugly green ass, like puke colored sweater? Have at it. I'll probably laugh at you.
No, but if you want to wear a Cosby sweater in the middle of July, I might giggle a little bit, but it's America.
Or if you want to wear like shorts that like your ass, it looks like your ass is eating the shorts. Okay.
Okay.
I'd advise.
Jeff, would you object to a T-shirt with a vagina and a wire hanger coming out of it? Is that where you would draw your objection?
No.
I'm not sure if it would be in good taste, but then again, I'm not a fashionista, so have at it.
I'm just, I have an obsession tonight. I humbly, tearfully denounce and reject myself.
When it comes down to things that you want to wear that may or may not offend people, well, you got to remember that you don't have the right to not be offended. Like, I'm sorry, that's not a right. That's not in the Constitution, okay? Like, you shouldn't have to sit here and be careful that you're going to offend somebody and get in trouble for it. Like, I'm sorry, if you're going to be offended, that's your problem. Fuck off. I don't really care. So if I want to wear a Jesus is a cunt shirt, right? I should be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to offend a lot of Christians, right? And I personally wouldn't choose to wear that because.
Jeff, I'm sorry.
You don't have the right to not be offended by my choice of dress.
I'm going to be really offensive here and take this in a little distance because Sean is not here. If you want to wear Jesus is a cunt shirt, the Christians should fall in love with you and want to hump your leg. Let me explain why. These are the same people who have fish on their car. So, fish equals cunt. There you go. I drew a line that goes directly to Benghazi. I win the prize.
No, let me just say, if I'm uncomfortable with the way somebody's dressed, I'm not, if they're in my house and they're they got their vagina hanging out, I'm going to be like, hey, please cover your vagina. I don't want to see that. But if I'm uncomfortable with how somebody's dressed or doing something, I'll just get up and leave. I have no problem. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You don't tell me what to do.
Right. It's if I ran into Justice on the street with a, liberals are racists, T-shirt, I'm going to be like, wow, that's kind of a dickhead shirt. And then move on.
Yeah.
Oh, your shirt sucks. I don't like it. I'm going to go get a coffee now. Okay.
Is there anybody else with questions? You guys can write your questions while we wait.
That's funny. Silas points out how I have huge fingers.
He's the dog that wants to
That's why women love me. That's the only reason.
Let me see. What did Iron Nation? Aren't liberals the one who invented hate speech? So you can wear the gays are worthless pieces of shit shirts?
What?
What?
Hate speech?
That makes no sense to me.
I thought that was Wow, is he off his meds already? It's early, dude.
No, I mean, okay, I understand. He wants to wear a shirt that says gays are worthless pieces of shit. I think it's in poor taste, but
you're probably going to get your ass kicked, and you might, to be honest, in my opinion, you might deserve it, but hey, Do you?
Let me just say this, as the guy who likes the occasional guy in his free time, I will preface this by saying, if Dorothy and the Cowardly Lion beat the crap out of you on the Yellow Brick Road for that shirt, don't come fucking crying to me. There.
Yeah, like, you do you, boo, like Anna always says, but if you get beat up, I might be a little bit offended. I'll be like, oh, that's kind of offensive, but I'm going to walk away.
And, you know, generally I'd be like, maybe, like, violence isn't a good thing, so I'm not going to advocate for it. But at the same time, I wouldn't feel bad for you. I'd just be like, oh, that sucks, man.
I agree with you. I'm not saying I'm not
advocating violence. You know, like, if somebody does wear that, I don't want them to get beat up. I'm just saying that I wouldn't feel.
If it happened, I would shed half a tear for him. I would shed half a tear.
I would be very upset that it happened to somebody wearing a shirt like that. I would be very upset because it makes people who believe what I believe look like we're all like that.
Oh, you know what?
I face that every day. I face that every day. Just because I see it on the news, I have to feel, you know, not ashamed, but I have to keep in mind where I am when I'm doing certain things, the kind of jokes I make. Because there are people who look like me doing bad things in another part of the world.
Wait, so you can't make I'm not even gonna go there. I'll stop myself. I'll save it for my show.
I can't be in a hospital and make an Ebola joke like, oh, I have Ebola.
There you go. There.
I'm live right now.
So.
That's where I was gonna go. So yeah. Jeff, you look like you need to head out, and we're monopolizing your time. Are you?
I do need to get something to eat, and it doesn't look like we have that many. We don't have any questions for us, so save your questions for next week, and we will definitely hit that on TYT Community on next Thursday. And programming note, we'll not be doing Around the Nation on Monday. We'll be doing it Tuesday, Wednesday, and then going to TYT Community Thursday and Friday. So programming note on that one. I really have to spend a lot of time editing stuff on Monday, getting some new graphics put together, etc., etc. So, you know, all that. Lots and lots of stuff to do. Like, you don't realize, like, I put in, like, 12-hour days to get this shit, which it doesn't seem like it for an hour's worth of content. Maybe I'm just doing poor time management. I don't know. But anyway,
you're a lazy liberal. You're a slacker. That's what it's all procrastination, Jeff.
I need to work harder. That's what it is. I'm not working hard enough.
There you go.
All right. Well, I want to thank you and Lucy for joining us. Tom, of course, Flintstoning Tom, on Twitter. Some say info, myliberals.com, #MyLibsLive. Thank you for joining us here on TYT Community. And, of course, Lucy, thank you for joining us as well. Definitely appreciate your input, and we're always glad to have you, and we'll be glad to have you again.
I definitely want to be back. I definitely want to.
All right.
Awesome. Bye, tears.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. If you do want to support the show, of course, you can follow me on Twitter at JustPolitics. Subscribe, like, and share our clips. We've been releasing new clips on a daily basis, so if you really missed me this weekend, you can go ahead and watch some of those clips from earlier in the week. I promise they're good. It's good stuff. And I really do need the love on YouTube right now, because some of the trolls are killing me with their downvotes, etc. So help me out if you could. And if you want to help out the show, you can always go to our Patreon campaign, patreon.com/TYTNation. Make a donation, a recurring, or make a one-time donation and then cancel so that it doesn't get taken next month. You can always do that. Any amount, $10, $20, etc. really helps us out. This is how I can afford to actually run the damn show. Because if I didn't have any money, I couldn't do clips, I couldn't do audio, I couldn't do anything like that. None of the bells and whistles. It would just be a normal, guy sitting in front of a wall with a crappy microphone. So, anyway, that's all the plugs. You guys have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you back on Tuesday. And from everybody here at the TYT community, thanks for hanging out with us. And we'll see you next week.